In the Fuzzy Memories podcast, we celebrate the good, the rad, and the fugly of the 80s and 90s.
We're three latchkey kids who made it out alive.
And in each episode, we break down all the culture that popped, 1 year at a time.
Whether it's the birth of legends...
I'm Lyme disease free today, and I have Whitney Houston and MTV to thank. Or audacious moves.
Imagine also the poor Golden Gate Bridge. You turn 75 and people have a party on you.
Yep. I don't want that.
Or even confusing PSAs.
And the stop, drop, and roll. I mean, I assumed
Yes.
as an adult I would catch on fire weekly.
All the time!
We've got a take that will make you laugh.
We've also got thoughts on all sorts of random phenomena and the most unmitigated of golf.
Why sharks can't be trusted, people can't be trusted, and rivers can't be trusted. It's collusion.
Of the highest degree.
Uh-huh.
You were counseling me to start my remarks with, first of all, bitch.
Everyone in that room would have snapped to attention.
It's going to be basically coffee lids, shark revenge, and then maybe like Matt Getz. God, we need to do something about him.
Join us every other Wednesday to celebrate the hits, the misses, and the misfits of the weirdest decades.
If I could tell my 14-year-old self from 1990 that I would be eating in a Cheesecake Factory in
Beverly Hills.
I'd be like, we did it. We did it, Joe.
We did it.
Listen and subscribe to Fuzzy Memories on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform.
Hey, Broads and Books listeners. You obviously have good taste in podcasts, so I think you'll appreciate In the Atelier, another podcast for book-loving, creative people just like you. Each installment of In the Atelier brings you an artfully produced audio essay dealing with some aspect of the creative life, or with literature or film, and always with the aim of providing mindful and inspiring content that you can take with you into your week. Find In the Atelier on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, and welcome to Broads and Books. I'm Amy.
And I'm Erin, and this is episode 69, American Dream.
American Dream. So this is a song by LCD Sound System, and I chose it because I think it's something we've sort of talked around a bit in some of our themes, but we're taking it head on. And I bet we're coming in hot again, just like we did last week.
Yes.
So hot.
That's how we like to come in.
That's how we like to come in. I wanted us to examine, like, what is this American dream? Is it real? Like, let's get into it. Let's talk about the truth of the American dream. Yeah.
This feels like the start of a weird cable news show for some reason.
It really does.
Like, I expected the American flag to flash behind us, and then, like, we're getting after it.
We're getting after it.
That's
coming
what Chris
in hot.
Cuomo always says. Let's get after it.
Wow.
I know. It's a lot.
Well, now I'm envisioning us with like a cable news segment, and it's like the American dream, coming in hot.
Coming in hot.
Yeah.
That's not bad. And
with
then,
Amy and Erin.
yeah, I think that in between our American flag, we just have pictures of cats and see if people notice. Like, wait, what? Was that a cat? Was that?
I mean, you know, that's one thing. The American dream always talks about like a dog. Where's the cat?
Where is the cats? Equal opportunity for felines.
Exactly. My dream is cats, and I have cats now again.
You are fulfilling
So
your American dream again.
I have two really big cats, as I described in last week's episode.
They're amazing.
So they are full on the dream.
They're continuing to delight you.
Yes, in fact, I sent you yesterday a slow-mo video, which your children really got excited about,
by.
right?
Yeah, very inspired by.
Did they then
yes.
go and create a slow-mo video?
Yes,
Okay.
they've made some ninja scenes that are slow-mo. So it's a little different vein than the cat, but
Hey, they were inspired,
Yes.
and I'm glad to inspire them.
it's perfect. Anything that keeps them entertained for,
Good Lord,
you
yeah.
know, a little bit of time, I'm grateful
Yeah.
for.
Wow. I can just imagine them doing some ninja moves.
Oh,
via
yeah.
slow-mo.
Well, at first Mason didn't quite understand that that's an effect that Evan
that you
can
don't
do.
have to do the slow-mo. Okay, yeah,
he
that's
was
what I wondered.
doing it in slow-mo. And then that was funny because Evan actually slowed it down even more in slow-mo. But then Mason got it. It was like, oh, I can just kick like normal. And
Yes.
Then, yeah.
It's like, this is even better.
Because Mason
Wow.
frequently likes to do slow motion. Like
I
he'll
think you've mentioned this.
just
Yes.
go into that. Like, we're doing it slow motion now.
Wow.
Usually at inopportune times. Like, it's time for bed. Oh, slow motion to my bed.
Boy.
Yeah.
Your 6-year-old continues to be diabolical.
Oh, yeah, in some weird ways.
Yeah. Like every time I hear a new story, I'm like, this is something.
We should all really be prepared. I don't sleeping with one eye open.
Speaking of Mason, he's super psyched to meet the new broads in the studio, isn't he?
Very
Yeah.
excited. He actually made me promise that today, before I left, I would nail down
Wait,
a date.
a date. Okay,
Because
great.
yesterday he just casually threw out,
Sure.
so we're just going to go meet those cats tomorrow. Like I had said that. And I was like, no.
Nope.
Oh, but soon. I'm like, okay, yeah, soon. That was aggressive.
Yeah. He also established a while back that I don't have the Rona, so I'm safe.
Right, yes. He feels very confident that you do not have the virus.
Which
so
I'm glad that he has confidence in me in that way.
Yeah.
That I'm not filthy with Corona. Because I'm not.
No.
Not yet.
No. Not that we know of.
I was going to say that sounded like excited, and
Yeah.
I don't mean it that
No,
way. I'm not
no.
excited to get the Rona.
No.
No.
No. I hope that you don't.
I hope that you don't.
Oh, thank you. See, that's part of the American dream right there. Just have a friend that doesn't want you to have Corona.
And have a friend that we are literally connected via headphones this
Yeah, we have
this
a new
afternoon.
setup today.
Yeah, we're using a new interface and have a headphone splitter. So my headphones are literally connected to Erin. So I feel like you're on a leash.
I kind of
And
feel like that.
if you like get too hot, I can sort of like stop it.
Or if I get up suddenly, which hasn't ever happened, but should it, we'll both tumble.
Oh, we will tumble hard,
Yeah.
and it will be recorded for posterity. It's going to be great.
Because everyone wants that.
For sure.
Okay, so thinking about the American dream.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most disappointing part of the American dream?
That it hasn't changed. I feel like they established this idea of the American dream way back in 1776. And and it was a hypocritical idea even then.
Yeah.
And, it's sort of morphed with the times slightly, but not really. Because it's all about a guy getting a wife and 2 kids and a house with a picket fence and a dog and not cats. Again,
Yeah.
unfair.
Maybe the material of the fence has changed in years, but that's about it.
And I don't like that. I mean, it's not realistic by any means because not everyone's going to have the economic capacity to buy a house, especially in today's market.
Right.
So I don't like that it hasn't changed, that it doesn't encompass the majority of people, I think, and that it's built that way from the start. And so it's going to disappoint so many people. And that's what disappoints me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all very valid. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Thank you. Erin, I mean, thinking about dreams, what's your overall feeling about dreams? There's, like we said, this American dream, there's this idea that we have to follow our American dream, but also have to follow our own dreams. Do you think it's all BS? Do you think it's just specifically the American dream?
No, I think it's all BS.
Yeah.
I just think that the word dream stirs up a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I think in the word, it seems like it's not achievable. It's a dream.
Yes.
Oh, what a dream.
Yes.
Like, the very idea of it is not sustainable.
Right.
I mean, I guess if you're going to talk about something, I would call it a goal, or I think a better way to frame it, especially for younger generations, would be passions or interests. I think that framing this idea that there's an American dream perpetuates this idea that everybody's going to have the ability to do something they love for a living and make a ton of money and have everything that they want. And that's not true.
No, and it's not what everyone wants anyway.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. First of all, you're putting everyone in the same box. And
Right.
second of all, that's just not achievable. And I don't think that we do a good job of teaching younger generations that your work might not be your most favorite thing in your life.
Right.
Maybe.
And that's okay.
Exactly. Maybe you have an interest or passion outside of that you pursue, and that's great. Then put your energy into that. But maybe what you make your money at to make a living isn't going to be where your heart is. And that's okay too. There's value in having a job because you want other things. Like it doesn't have to look the same for everyone.
Yes. I think that's the what I was trying to say with the disappointing thing too is that it's assuming that everyone has the same dream. I also don't like that. Dreams, like, it's not attainable. It's not a goal. It's not like, something
it's
that
not
you can
measurable,
right? And there's no like steps to get there. We've talked to different authors. I'm thinking specifically of Nana Kwame Ejibrenya, who was like looking at authors and never pictured himself there because he couldn't see the steps to get from here to there. And so I think that's why something like that is characterized as a dream.
Yeah.
And then it sort of keeps people out because you can't see the steps to get there.
It also, if you want to look at it another way, gives you an excuse to fail.
Absolutely.
Because it's impossible. So,
Yeah.
I want to be a heart surgeon. Well,
Right.
I'm not, I really don't want to be, but that sounds like something I should want to be.
And I don't want to take all the classes that I have to take to get there. And
Yeah. And if we took this idea of a dream away, then people would be more comfortable saying, look, I don't want to do that. This is what I want to do. Like maybe your dream is I want to be middle management and come home and have a family or be on a kick-ass adult soccer team. I don't know.
There you go.
But that's okay. Embrace it. It doesn't
absolutely.
have to be, this idea of dream becomes so lofty then. Like, oh, it's got to be some huge thing.
Yes. And then it sort of sets you up that your whole life you're chasing this dream.
Yes.
And then what happens if you actually do get this dream? Then everything's supposed to be good, right? You're supposed to be super happy and all is well and you never have issues again, in which that's a crock of shit.
It reminds me of this TED Talk that I listened to a long time ago about the fallacy of overnight success and how frustrating that is. And dreams kind of fall in that category. Like it's a quick way to put a label on something and negate all the work that got someone there. Because we talk about that a lot with historical figures or people that are held up as role models. Like, oh, they had this dream and they wouldn't give up. Well, it wasn't that they had a dream. It was that they had a goal and they put in the work. Like they did not get deterred. They worked at it every single day. They took the steps. They were dedicated. Right. And if we taught that, a lot more people would be prepared to do work as opposed to just say, well, that's my dream. Why don't I have it?
I think you're right. The dream sort of sets you up to be passive versus active.
Yes.
Like, it's just saying you're waiting for the call to come.
Yes.
You're waiting for someone to tap you as the next,
Right.
whatever you're dreaming to be.
And it takes out, where's failure in that? Like you're going to fail multiple times before you get there in anything that you do. So where's the steps for that? If I'm a Care Bear in the clouds, if I fail, where do I go?
Was that your dream, to be a Care Bear in the clouds?
Kind of. I had the Care Bear phone.
Did you?
I was pretty impressed with it. Yeah.
Wow.
I
I didn't have that.
It was something. Looked like a cloud. You called Care Bears on it. I don't know really what the end goal was. Now that I think about it.
When you picked it up, did it have like Care Bears talking
I think
to you?
it did have like little. Did it? I think it did have little voices. Like, but they didn't really like. I don't remember specifically what they said. I guess maybe it was just But I loved that. I remember that.
Wow.
That was my dream, and
That's
I had
and you had it.
I also think of like when you're a kid, and you have dreams. Like I wanted an easy bake oven, and then I got one,
And then you did.
and I'm like,
by
it's a light
Santa.
bulb cooking a cookie that's going to take hours, and I get one. What is this?
Yeah,
Who
what is
sold
this?
me this?
This dream sucks.
Why didn't someone tell me to just ask mom to bake some cookies?
Yeah. That would have been a better,
much better avenue.
That's so funny that you bring that up, because I remember as a kid, like literally having dreams about this like Muppet doll toy that I wanted or something. And I had one dream one night and it was so vivid. And I was like waking up, I was like, oh, I got it. And then I go like running around the house looking, I don't even know what the hell this thing was, but that was like the mindset, like things are just going to come to me.
Yes.
And I don't have to like do anything to get it.
Right.
And then I think we somehow, this American dream, the idea of it then sort of, perpetuates that idea.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that there's more than a financial cost to the American dream?
I do. I mean, obviously there's the financial cost of like, if you're going after that home or you're going after that whatever, you got to shell out some money. But I think there's also a mental cost, because I think the insidious part of this is that if we don't achieve the American dream, if we don't succeed, then it's our fault. Right. And so then we have to take on the burden of that. Like, I really effed this up. Like, I didn't get what I worked for. So I'm somehow not as good as I thought I was, or I'm not a great person. All those things that we can then, our mind can get to work on. I think it discounts too all the issues that are baked into our system. It says that like, if somehow we don't achieve something because there's a bias against people that look like you, then it's your fault. It's not the system's fault, which is, another mental thing. Then suddenly you start doubting yourself. Suddenly, unless you can finally look at it with a critical eye and be like, wait a second, this whole American dream is BS, then you can get past that. But otherwise, I think, the biggest part of that is it just tries to trick you into believing that you're not good enough and that you're not. Yeah. Which, we tell ourselves that enough anyway. Right? We don't need something else telling us.
And the converse is true. People that achieve it, that maybe by their own privilege, it sort of tricks them into thinking that they achieve something that's possible for everyone when it's not. The playing field isn't even.
Exactly. So they start thinking their experience is everyone's experience, so why can't you do it? Why can't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which I fucking hate that thing.
What does that even mean?
I don't even know.
What bootstraps are you talking about?
Maybe shoes used to have straps that you pulled up.
I mean, I've seen rain boots that have those little loops
at
the top, but like my boots that I wear in the winter don't have.
Did cowboy boots have? They didn't have straps.
No.
So I don't know where the hell this came from.
Straps.
You
gonna pull you right up by your bootstraps, and then buy my overalls,
and then I'm the devil with my hooves and my boots.
Hang me on a hook so that I don't get away.
Again, I hope the southern contingent of listeners just skips this episode.
Just skip the last 20 seconds or so.
With this terrible accent that we both do.
If you understand where bootstraps came from, feel free
Please tell
to
us.
let us know.
Yeah.
Because I would say I'm going to Google it, but
probably not.
I bet I'm not.
Because I bet if we Google it, there's going to be all sorts of things about how to pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
I don't need that kind of stuff.
I don't
need that kind of evil in my life.
No. Not today, Satan.
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. Well, okay, so I think we've established that the idea of the American dream is faulty, and even if we do get it, we're probably not going to be as happy as we were promised to be.
Right.
What do you think defines happiness?
I don't think there is a definition.
Interesting.
I think that that's the fallacy of happiness.
Yeah.
Is that it's the only way to define happiness is for yourself specifically and individually. And so if you are trying to compare your happiness to someone else's, you're never going to feel happy because it's always going to seem like somebody has more. Somebody's relationship is better. Somebody's family's better. Someone's kids are better. Someone's better at this, that, or the other, has more money, anything. I mean, you can find a million things. So if we didn't spend as much time comparing, and you just said, these are the things that make me happy, and I'm happy, and I'm good, which is really, central to a lot of things, just being okay with yourself, being able to sit with yourself and say, I'm content, I'm happy with this. And if there are things that you're not happy about, that gives you the power to change them or to make goals to move in that direction, as opposed to, well, I'm not happy because I don't have everything that my neighbor has, so...
Yes. I think it's also this idea, and this sounds like one of those really cheesy things that you could buy at like Home Goods that you put up on the wall or something, that it's a destination. Like happiness is a place. Like and once you hit that place, once you've achieved all these specific things, then boom, happiness.
Yeah.
But it's a journey, Erin.
Oh, how did I not see that coming? I was there.
Again.
Yeah.
A Home Goods sign.
It is. You're right.
And that's what this whole episode is about.
Yeah, kind of.
Go to Home Goods. I don't know.
All right. I guess put us on your headphones and walk around Home Goods and let us know if you find some stuff, I guess, is what we're getting at.
It's just a journey, Erin.
And while you're there, find your own happiness. I can't define it for you.
No.
I can't do that kind of work. I can't define everyone's happiness. I can define my own.
Yes.
And I can tell you a couple things that make me happy.
What are they?
Books.
Oh, yeah.
Food.
Oh, God, yeah.
Some people.
Yeah.
I mean,
some
people.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Some people, no.
That's
hell clearly.
No.
So some things that make me happy are avoiding some people.
Oh, God, yeah. Like canceling things with some people. Yeah. Cancellation. It's elation from canceling meetings, and I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
Yeah.
There's a certain kind of high from that you just can't express.
When you were younger, do you remember like thinking about the American dream and wanting to get there?
I don't know if I had it. If I remember thinking about it and thinking I wanted to get there, I think it was more this feeling of that's what you were supposed to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so too.
There's an idea you're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have a family, you're supposed to buy a house. These are steps that you're supposed to take.
Yeah.
But no one discusses At what point do you know you're ready for those things?
Right. Or if you want them, if you
Right.
actually
Yes.
want them for yourself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. If you're just going, oh, this is the next step and this is the
Yeah.
next step, then at every spot that you're in your life, you're going to make that work instead of really examining it for what it is.
And I think another problem then with the American dream, like I knew that I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to have kids. And so then it left almost sort of a gaping hole. Like, well, shit, what am I supposed to do now?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
you know, because so many people, they get these things because then it's supposed to give you meaning in your life. Well, what do I do? Like, how do I give myself meaning? And yeah, it's just been a, you know, kind of a constant effort to redefine that and to understand that it's okay to redefine that and that it's okay that if you don't want all those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. And that kind of goes along with what we were talking about with what you choose to do for a profession. It's okay to say, you know what, it's not my favorite thing in the world. You know what? No, I don't love my job, but it brings home the bacon.
You know what makes me happy?
Yeah.
Books,
Books.
cats.
Oh, that's new.
Some people as well. Not every people, but some people.
Do bootstraps make you happy?
No, they do not. I don't want any straps on my boots.
Okay, no straps.
You know what else makes me happy?
Strapless boots. Bootless straps. What does that even mean? Here's
Just
some
pieces of fabric. Here, pull yourself up by them.
Got you some new straps.
You know what also makes me happy? Ice cream sandwiches. Like vegan ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah, your specific vegan ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
And
good.
vegan chocolate donuts. Again, those things, like, they're real hard. I got a budget for them because they're expensive. But I love them.
But
They bring me happiness, Erin.
they should.
I'm a
They're
simple girl.
delicious.
Yeah.
You know what has also brought me happiness recently? A certain listener made us a delicious peach crisp.
Oh,
that
good God.
I thought about
Yes.
quite a few times since eating
Yes. Yeah. And you know who you are, listener, and it's haunting our dreams.
it. It is.
And we need more of it.
I wake up spooning things into my mouth that aren't peach crisp. So that was really disturbing.
For some reason, I don't know. I just don't want to picture you spooning things into your mouth.
It's just air.
I don't know. I don't like it, Erin.
All right.
It doesn't make me happy.
Sorry. I bet your first fiction pick will make us happy.
God, it did and it didn't, and that's why I'm picking it.
Okay.
But my fiction pick is called The Prettiest Star by Carter Sickles. This is hot off the presses, coming in hot with a pick right off the presses. And in the book, it is 1986. And Brian, the main character, he is 24. He's gay, and AIDS has decimated this New York community where he lives. And terrified the country, too, at the time. His boyfriend, who was the love of his life, has just died, and he himself is sick. So at the very beginning, he's thinking about all this. He's considering suicide. But then the idea of home calls to him. His mother and his father, his little sister, back home in a small town, Ohio. I think it was like 1,200 people, like real small. He hasn't talked to them in years. Like when he was 18, he left. He knew he had no place there, and so he took out for New York and hasn't really looked back. But he wants to go home to die. So from that starting point, we hear from his mother, Sharon, as she is sort of grappling with this son who is different from what she expected. And so maybe because of that, also different from what she wanted. And also an extended family that thinks that AIDS is punishment for being gay. And he's coming home, and Sharon, the mother, is, they're still thinking that the disease can be transmitted by using the same cups. So she has taken it upon herself to wash all the cups and have him have a special cup and got to wash the linens and got to use rubber gloves and all the stuff that just is, obviously has been discounted. But this was at the time when a lot of straight America just didn't know and didn't really care to learn. Mm-hmm. We also hear in the book from Brian's younger sister, Jess, who is a teenager surrounded by other cruel teenagers, and they're using AIDS as a punchline. And then we hear from Brian himself, as his body is betraying him, as he tries to reconnect with his family over the bridge of this double whammy, the fact that he's gay and the fact that he has AIDS. Both of those are hard-hitting to this family in this small town. So there's, besides the three of them, the three main characters, there's also other wonderful characters. There's Brian's grandmother, who just loves him, just unconditionally loves him, doesn't care, talks about the fact that her brother was a creative type. And so an artistic type.
An artistic type.
Yes. So we know what that means. We also hear from another gay man who's trying to live in this small town, a friend from New York, and a talk show host that gets involved when Brian gets into the community pool, and the town freaks the fuck out. And what's crazy, I learned in the acknowledgments of this book that was based on a true episode. Oprah came to a small town when a similar incident happened and sort of, took the story from there. So
Wow.
Carter Sickles was kind of basing that experience on this. So the reason I chose for this theme is that Sharon, the mom especially, she subscribes hard to the American dream. She is a good woman. She goes to church. She helps in the community, all the things that you're supposed to do. So having a gay son, and then having a gay son that's dying at age 24 from this disease that everyone is terrified of, it isn't supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. Not to her, not to her family. These are things that all of her actions has led to something else, but she's not getting it. Which, to me, it kind of showed that the dream is limited, just like we were talking about, that the American dream is limited to Christians, to good mothers, to white, straight people, to people that fit into boxes that have been defined. And that shows the fallacy of it to me.
And that if you just do everything right, then you get it automatically.
Exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't have room for anything else. So it's also the idea that it's all on you. You just got to work hard. You got to do this. You got to take all this responsibility. But still, something could happen, and then that's your fault somehow. So, obviously that's not how it happens. That negates the idea of this disease. That negates the idea of being different while also still being a beautiful and valuable human, So besides that, other things to know about this book, I cried hard. And I don't cry at books very often. And I remember I texted you and I was like, I can't get myself together. This is, I obviously needed a good cry and I got it.
You did. I remember you saying that. This was very impactful for you.
At one point I was just walking around the house sobbing. So
I like that you felt the need to move while you were doing it.
I don't know if I was trying to do tasks or something or just wandering around.
That's an odd instinct. I like to just sit. I don't want to do anything.
Me too.
I'm just going to sit in my
I don't
sorrow.
know if I was trying to shake it off or what, but
I bet you were.
It wasn't working.
No.
Whatever was happening. It was just straight up sobbing. Also, that was probably exacerbated by the fact that this is related to David Bowie. Think about that. The song or the title of the book comes from one of his songs. The sections are all different songs of his. There's a section towards the end titled Starman, and then the content of that mixed with the title. That's what did me in.
It got you.
And I couldn't stop. And then final thing to know, we are talking to Carter Sickles soon.
Yes.
Because I loved this so much. It was like, we gotta get him on here.
We need to talk to him.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be honest and tell him that I couldn't get my shit together after this.
I think that's a high compliment.
I hope so. And I hope that he's not just like Jesus.
No,
okay.
I think that means your writing is incredibly impactful.
Yes.
So that has to be a compliment.
Okay. Do you think that's what I should say first up? Be like, listen, hi Carter, I cried real hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lead.
Okay.
Lead right away with the sobbing and walking.
I'm just going to watch your face on Zoom and see if you're like, back up. Nope, stop it.
No, now you're describing where you were in every room. That is not what I said. Back out.
Yeah, back out now.
Back out. Well, my book is also hot off the presses.
Hot off the presses.
Hot off the presses. August 2020.
Oh, my goodness.
Coming at you hot. It's already gotten a lot of buzz. Luster.
Oh.
By Raven Lalani.
This one is being talked about.
Everywhere. First of all, because the cover is amazing.
Yes. I have this as a library book, and I've just been staring at the cover. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's Luster is the title is a reference to a painting term, but also, the shine of yourself.
Yes.
The shine of the American dream, if you will.
Oh, nice one.
Did you like that?
I did.
Every once in a while.
Man, oh man.
Something
Those
connects
pearls
up there.
Come right out there.
Yeah. Woo, something fires. All right. Well, the main character, Edie, is making her way through her 20s. She is struggling. struggling in a lot of ways. She has a job that she sort of likes and hopes is leading somewhere else with a publisher. But what she really wants to do is work in the art department. And that's not where she's working currently. She's kind of helping talent get through situations. But she's got this talent for drawing, painting, and she would like to use that in another way. But unfortunately, she kind of keeps making questionable decisions at work, in her personal life, with sexual partners, and it leads to her being fired. And before she's fired, she stumbles into a relationship with a man named Eric, who's married and older, but whose wife has said that she's okay with an open relationship as long as she gets to dictate the rules. So Edie kind of stumbles into this without really thinking about what that means or what that looks like. She struggles a little bit with the fact that Eric changes as their relationship goes on, and with how much actual control his wife actually has over their relationship. So after she ends up unemployed and in a super weird Postmates delivery situation, she ends up delivering something to Eric's wife. And Eric's wife realizes very quickly that Edie's down on her luck. Like she's losing her apartment. She's losing her roommate. She lost her job. So Eric happens to be out of town on business, and the wife invites her to come home and stay with them.
Oh, boy.
So at first you're kind of trying to figure out why would you do this? And one of the things that you quickly learn is that Eric and his wife have adopted a teenage daughter who is Black. And they think that Raven could be, not the author Raven, Edie, could be the connection to help her, that they don't have that ability. They're both white. And so they think maybe having Edie in the house, having someone that she can talk to help mentor her might be a good idea. So you sort of see like maybe there's this other reason that the wife is open to this, but that doesn't really seem to explain all of it.
Okay.
So she finds herself in the middle of this very weird family dynamic where everything's changing. There's like racial politics going on in society, even within the family. She's got some weird sexual lines being crossed. And in between all this, she's just trying to figure out what's going on with her own life. Like she seems to have been sort of passive up to this point. And also dealing with some of the stuff from her own past and history that has dictated where she's gotten to and has sort of made her vulnerable in some of these situations. And I picked it for this theme this week because I think that this book embodies what I think the American dream should actually be. I think that we're seeing someone who is trying to live out the idea that if you just want it bad enough, it'll happen. But the reality is that isn't enough, and not everybody gets to achieve that. That a lot of times having talent and working hard is only half the battle.
Yeah.
There's an element of having to believe in yourself. There's an element of confidence. There's an element of
Connections.
There's so many layers that just assuming that this is going to happen. And there's quite a few times in the book that Edie seems to sort of fall into that. Like, hey, I'm doing this, so shouldn't that mean that I get this?
Yeah.
I'm doing this, shouldn't that mean that I get this? And to me, that's right there, like we've been talking about, is the problem with the American dream.
Yeah.
If I check these boxes, then I get this thing at the end. It's a very reward-based system. And it doesn't always work like that. And I think as we see her grow, we see her definition of what she wants change. We see her ability to get that change. And we see her look at the way that that's going to come about, that's going to be different. And it's going to look different. And so I think the title is genius. The book is genius. The characters are genius. I read this so fast. It's so good. It's worth every piece of praise and awards and whatever else that comes its way. It deserves it all. Everyone should read it.
And she's a debut author, right?
Yes. Yeah. And this book couldn't be more timely. I mean, it's just it's wonderful. And it's relatable on so many levels. You should get it just for the cover, if nothing else, but because it looks good on your bookshelf, but also because this is a killer book, seriously.
Yeah.
So
you know what that made me think of too is, and I'm assuming that this character is pretty young. I feel like that's part of, especially in your 20s, if you go to college and then you get out of college and you feel like, okay, I've checked the boxes. Now, why isn't everything working the way it should?
Yeah.
It feels like almost a rite of passage when you're young to have to grapple with that and then get past it if you can.
Yeah.
Which then reminded me, remember when you came up with a graduation speech for people? I think you should add this to that speech where what you basically said was like, none of this shit matters.
It doesn't.
and look under your chair, that's your student loan bill. It's coming right at you.
So now you should probably go get a real job.
Yeah.
Whatever you thought you were going to do is out the window.
So yeah, I think I'm adding a part to your speech where you talk about the American dream bullshit.
That's a lie. I don't know if you figured that out yet.
Yep.
That's a lie. This was all bullshit. You wasted 4, 6, 8 years. Get that bill and hit the road because you got work to do and it's not going to be pretty. Okay?
Oh, such a motivational speaker you are.
Yeah. I mean, just real to the
Just
point.
real talk.
Just some real talk at you.
Oh, I want to be there in the stands when you give that graduation speech.
Yeah.
And then I just want to document all the kids' faces when they're like, wait, what? Huh? Is this a comedian? What is happening
What's
right
happening?
now?
Yeah. And then I'm going to be like, hey, look under your chair. If you have a circle, hold it up. And like one person's going to hold it up and it'll be like, that's the only person that's going to do what they went to school for. That is the only person in this whole auditorium who's going to use that degree that they have right now.
Yep.
Rest of you,
So just take that in right now. Get to know it.
5 years from now,
Live
you're
with
going
it.
to be in a break room eating a free donut laughing about how you majored in journalism and you
Yeah.
don't even know how you ended up in this weird office building.
And that's life, kids.
That's life.
Whew.
And it's hard.
You know, I'm glad I'm not in my 20s anymore.
Right?
I'm glad I'm not in my 30s anymore. Just generally, like, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like so much of that time is, you have to get past that stuff. You have to realize, like, oh, I was sold a bill of goods. And
Right.
it's not real.
Flim Flam artist told me
Up to some tomfoolery.
some snake oil salesman told me about the American dream. And I bought in with my bootstraps.
Bought in hard. Oh, there's a cat coming into the
Oh.
studio.
Oh.
Let's see what happens here. What I've discovered so far about this cat that's coming in, Louise, she's a
Oh.
big gal. She's got a tiny little meow. So a tiny little sound that comes from a
impressed that
big
it's Louise.
gal. Yeah, I know.
She hasn't been around
no,
me yet.
she hasn't.
Oh, hello, friend.
So that's her. Well, I'm going to describe what's happening right now. There's a black and white cat that's coming in, sniffing everything like she's never been in this room before, but she has.
I have photographic evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really what she's doing, she's telegraphing to you that, hey, I realize something's wrong in here, and it's you.
It's me. I'm sniffing like I can't figure out the smell, but it's your
but
smell.
I totally know what's happening.
I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, so that's happening. We'll just keep a running update on what's going on. Oh, she's approaching you. Oh my goodness. Is this when your allergies make your head explode? Is this when we have to stop and take you to the hospital?
EpiPen. No, it's not that bad. I probably won't be able to resist touching her, and they'll have to
You're
wash
gonna
my
have
hands.
to touch her, and then you're gonna touch your face, and it's gonna be terrible.
And my eyes are gonna be like this at the end.
Oh my God, look at this. Yep. Oh, she's coming. She's coming for you.
She doesn't like that I'm sitting in this chair, I don't think.
Yeah.
Although I'm not getting the nefarious vibe that I did from Fiona.
Not at all. And we were talking about this actually before the episode, that I was in such an abusive relationship with Podcat that it's so weird that these cats just want love, and that's all that they want. Isn't she so soft? She's petting. Erin is petting the kitty. She's gonna pay for this later.
Yeah, and she let me.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my
She didn't even let Garth do this.
I feel as though maybe she likes me,
I think
and
so.
she's not going to try and shove me down the stairs.
Yeah, which is a change.
This is a big change. I
For
don't
those
even
of
know
you
what
who
to do.
haven't listened to all of our episodes, there was a previous Podcat who really tried to murder Erin on multiple occasions. Yeah.
Did not like me even a little bit.
Man, oh man, this is shocking, this
I know,
development.
I thought it would be Thelma.
Yeah.
You're so friendly.
Maybe what's happening
She likes this
is,
so much.
is Louise maybe heard us laughing and was like, I want to get in on that.
Yes.
I'm abroad. I want to join in.
Yes, they want some of the jolly time. They're not annoyed like Fiona, who's like, what is this
Yeah,
nonsense?
what is going on?
a Sunday?
Why are you here on the Lord's
Don't-
Day? And she thought the Lord's Day was her day.
Yeah, this is my day.
Yeah, you just made friends. Good for you. Did you hear the tiny little meow?
That's the tiniest meow I've ever heard. Did she have her voice box removed?
I doubt the microphones even picked that up.
No, there's no way.
Oh my God. It's like a bird.
It
It's
is.
a tiny little bird out of a
make more noise when I
20-pound
walk.
cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is unprecedented. a cat in this house that actually likes you.
I don't know what to do.
No.
I feel a little sweaty. It feels so all unknown. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to mess it up somehow.
All right. Well, yeah, that little cat interlude. I'm sure there'll be more because she's still standing right next to
She
me.
is, yeah. Yep.
But I'm going to start talking about the other genre book.
Do.
Because we got books to talk about,
Yeah.
not just cats.
No.
But we do talk about cats a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
So my other genre book is a memoir, and it comes from Darnell L. Moore, who is a writer and an activist. And this came from 2018, and it's called No Ashes in the Fire, Coming of Age, Black and Free in America. So Darnell grew up in the 1980s in Camden, New Jersey, in a pretty big family. And he grew up in a poorer neighborhood. And being black and poor shaped him from an early age, and so did the knowledge that he was gay. So there's some really tough moments as he's growing up that he writes about. An abusive father, really biased teachers, some violent moments with the police and with neighborhood boys, and one particularly terrible moment when neighborhood boys set him on fire because he was gay.
That's
Yeah.
so... That's
Yeah.
such a gut punch.
Thankfully, the fire didn't catch. His aunt came to this rescue. But seriously.
How does a person get there? Like,
Right.
I'm going to light another person
Yeah.
on fire.
And a group of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's fascinating to me is there's some really tough stuff here, but he writes about all of it with this deep empathy for his father, for his family, for people who are victimizers, and for victims. And he works through his life story and how he becomes an adult in a world that wants black gay men to sit down and shut up. So he moves to Philadelphia, he's living as an out gay man, and he also charts his path to activism, being a key member at Black Lives Matter. It's written so well. It's deeply touching. You see the love and the pain of his family and growing up, and it's just a beautiful, rewarding book. So I chose this for this theme because I feel like the American dream is not for people like Darnell. You know, It's not for those who grow up poor and black, and that's shown by the very fact that businesses abandon poor communities like this, and the government strips protections, and the media paints this as their own fault. They're painted as ghettos, inner cities, projects like lost causes, you know. And what I was kind of saying with one of my questions earlier, or one of our questions that we were discussing, is you're supposed to take this as a personal fault, like being poor and black is your own fault. And so then what do? You know, how can you live that way? How can you still be part of the American dream? And you can't. And so Darnell does a great job of picking apart how that all worked. I think also the American dream is generally just not for black men. He's painted as a criminal because he's black, and he's not a full man because he's gay. So he talks through that as well, and it's a fascinating perspective. And I think also the book shows that the American dream sort of gives tiers of privilege. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, he's had a couple strikes against him for being black and gay, but he also had more privilege because he was a man versus a black woman or a gay woman, you know? And so he digs into the idea of how manhood works in that way, and admits to the idea that he's probably hurt black women in his life because he subscribed to that as much as he was fighting against, you know, the accepted story of things. He's so thoughtful. He's very personal when he writes about all this, but it's also deeply researched and fantastic information. And I loved it. Wow. And man, after reading this, you will understand why the American dream is a fallacy.
Well, then this was a perfect pick, and I need to read it.
Yeah.
Excellent. I picked a short story collection for the other genre pick this week called Unclean Jobs for Women and Girls by Alyssa Nutting.
Yeah,
so
I recommended Tampa way back in the day.
Yes, and this was written in 2010, I believe before Tampa.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a short story collection, and before I explain why I picked it, I need to explain that this collection is very weird and twisty and funny in all the best ways. But it's also not everyone's sense of humor.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, but it has so much to say if it is, and you're willing to take the ride with her. So on the surface, it's a collection of stories about women doing work. Like, one is a porn star in space. One's a cat sitter. The variety of jobs that they have. And none of the jobs are what we would view as typical, but, you know, they're doing work. And this is kind of what I think is the magic of this book, is that it's actually illustrating, one, how work is not synonymous with the American dream.
Yeah.
But also it's really gets at the heart of the extra work that females do outside of the job that they get paid for.
Yes.
And how that's never included
Nope.
in your dreams and how you're going to achieve them when you have all this other stuff to do. So it talks a lot about how women's lives in particular are full of a whole lot more of things than just what they earn money at. And I think she brings that out in the most creative and interesting ways. And I'm a sucker for dark, funny stories. That's my jam. So this is right up my alley. Again, like I said, it's a twisty sense of humor, so it's not going to be for everyone. The book opens with people in a boiling pot of broth that are being pulled out by a chef to be prepared for dinner.
I've read that story, and it's everything you could want and more. But you're right; it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But and the rest of the stories are like that. So I highly, highly recommend it. If you've read other things that I've recommended, like I would say this is in the vein a little bit of maybe a Simon Rich, or maybe even Raphael Bob Waxberg that wrote Someone Who Will Love You in All Your Damaged Glory. If that's kind of your sense of humor, it's a little bit different, then this is going to be right up your alley. So you should definitely check it out. I think it has a lot to say about parts of the American dream that just aren't included.
Yes. I think that's such a good point that you made, that women especially, the labor that we have to do, like the second jobs that we have to do. Like if you're working all day and you're a mom and a wife, then
and how do you achieve these lofty dreams when you have so much other stuff in your way? And it's another way in which there's only a small group of the population that's going to actually be able to fulfill an American dream, because that path is laid for them to do so. And they can't see outside themselves that other people's paths are not laid out that way.
And then when you don't, when you're not able to keep it all together from working multiple jobs and putting out all that emotional labor, it's your fault.
Yes, absolutely.
You are messing up.
Yep.
You know
100%.
who's not messing up? It's Louise.
Louise is getting it.
Louise has just been over here rubbing against my hand.
Yeah.
But she's looking direct at you.
She is. And
this is such a fascinating developing story.
It is.
Everyone.
Breaking news.
The breaking news.
Louise likes me. Oh, I think she wants up on the podcast table.
Which, so if listeners, you hear a thud soon, that will be the sound of one of my 20-pound cats hitting the studio table, which will be quite a sound for all of us to hear. And I'm kind of looking forward to it and also terrified.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Either way.
Breaking news.
Yes.
Well, interesting that you were talking about women especially, and some of the ways that the American dream fails them ties into my pop culture pick.
Ooh.
I chose a show, a limited series from FX, also on Hulu, called Mrs. America.
Ooh.
So let's start with the cast. Kate Blanchett.
Boom.
Rose Byrne.
Yes.
Uzo Aduba.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Banks.
Come on.
Margot Martindale. Sarah Paulson. Like, all the ladies.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
All the ladies.
All the ladies. So the show starts in the early 1970s with Phyllis Schlafly, who is played by Kate Blanchett. And she's an extremely smart, politically conservative woman and mother of 5. That's a lot of kids.
That's too many.
She's...
I'm just kidding. Mothers
Nope,
out there.
that's too many.
It's too many for me. For all of you,
it's
that's
way
beautiful.
too many for me.
It's 5 too many for me.
So Phyllis has been writing about and advising politicians on nuclear disarmament for years, and even running for office, but she just can't get traction. She's trying to hang with the boys, but continually rebuffed. Then she hears about the Equal Rights Amendment, which at the time was a proposed amendment to the Constitution that added gender to protected rights. And at this point in the story, early 70s, it's got the support of both Democrats and Republicans, which... think about that for a second.
Right.
Fascinating. And it easily passes the House and the Senate. So it just needs to be ratified by 38 states. So again, think about that. The Republicans supported this. That shows how different our politics are now, which is kind of the point of the show, which I didn't quite understand at first. Phyllis spots an opportunity. She is surrounded by housewives that feel like the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, will cast judgment on their choices. And cause their daughters to be drafted.
Oh.
So Phyllis starts a Stop the ERA campaign. And over the next 10 years, it grows massively. The show focuses on her, but also the group of feminists that are working towards the passage of the ERA, which include Gloria Steinem, Bella Abzug, Shirley Chisholm, and more. Now, I was really hesitant to watch this because I thought it was going to be all about Phyllis Schlafly and it would make her sympathetic. And I did not want to be sympathetic to Phyllis Schlafly.
Right.
Because I knew the history and I just didn't want to deal with it. But our listener, the one that created Peach Cobbler for us, her and her lovely wife,
Yes.
they highly recommended this show. And so I gave in. I gave in, as I always should, to
Yes.
them. And it was so good. It took so many different angles. It focused on each of the different characters. It was just really thorough, but also so compelling, so fascinating. Really loved it. I chose it for this theme because from the start, I think, and we've kind of alluded to this, I don't think women have ever been included in the American dream.
Right.
You know, like we were literally property for the men for most of our history. And interesting to talk about that now since we've just experienced 100 years of women having the right to vote out of 250 years of our country. So cool.
Yeah. Let me
And-
tell you, we could have stopped a few left turns.
Oh shit, we could have.
We could have.
And then, you know, of course, it was mostly white women that got the vote in
Right.
1920. You know, black women and other women of color didn't get it until maybe the 60s, 70s. You know, they're still fighting for the goddamn right to vote. They could have stopped a bunch of left turns as well.
Yeah. So many times to right this ship.
Yep. But it didn't. Anyway, so I think in the 20th century, you know, we've made huge strides, right? We got the vote. We changed the sexual culture. We pushed women into positions of power. And as this show, Mrs. America, shows, we came so close to enshrining our equality. As the show goes on, almost all the states are ratifying the ERA until this Stop the ERA campaign starts kicking in. Instead, white women particularly decided to cast their lot in with white men in order to have some power, as has been happening again. I think that's the story so much right now
Yes.
of the women that are supporting Trump. I
Yep.
think that's what's happening right there. I think this show is so good because it really confronts that history. It shows that black women and lesbians were never fully included in the ERA conversations from the start. So as you know, wonderfully well, you know, intended this was, it was never fully complete. And due in large part to Phyllis and her campaign, this Stop the ERA campaign was very much responsible for the Republican Party turning to the religious right, as it did in Reagan's era, as it's doing again today. Sort of organized around keeping women in their place. So you're going to leave feeling kind of disgusted, but also, you know, as I mentioned, one of my fears about watching the show, I didn't want to be sympathetic to Phyllis
Right,
Schlafly.
yeah,
but
absolutely.
goddamn Kate Blanchett, she made me sympathetic to Phyllis Schlafly. Just a little bit.
yeah,
Just a little
yeah.
bit. Like, there's so many moments, and she can play bad so good. And there's so many moments where you're just like, oh, you're a terrible human being in every single way.
Yeah.
But there's a final moment that just really kicks in what this was all about for her and, you know, what she wrought from all this. So, fantastic show. Highly recommend.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
on my list. Well, I for this pop culture pick this week, I decided that I'm going to bring to the table a favorite show of mine.
Oh.
It's probably not for everyone yet again, but
Oh.
as most of my picks this week, but it's called The Prophet. It's on CNBC. It started in 2013. It features Marcus Lemonis, who is the son of immigrants who came over here. He owns Camper World, if you're familiar with that. It's a really large franchise of like RV stores, and he's made a lot of money at that. And so he started this show to go out to small businesses and help them that are struggling by either helping them with their process or helping them with a cash infusion. Sometimes he invests in it to have a part in the company, and that in and of itself could be seen, I suppose, nefariously, like, oh, he's going after these businesses that are failing and getting a part of it cheap or something. But that's really not in my opinion, what he's doing. He's really going into these businesses who would otherwise fail and would lose things and helping save people's jobs. He's incredibly good at recognizing what's actually going on in a situation. I've seen in a lot of episodes him pick out someone that was really doing the brunt of the work and maybe not recognized for it, and either advocate for them to get ownership or a raise or, whatever it is that's going to help their circumstance. And I think it speaks to me, obviously, as a small business owner, but I also think I like it for the American dream because, first of all, he shouldn't have been able to achieve what he achieved by our definition of the American dream. And he's very cognizant of that and wants to give back because of that. And also, I think that as a small business owner, and, I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to own a business in the first one that I owned in my later 20s, I was unprepared. I mean, I didn't understand all of the facets and things that went into that. And there's no one to teach you. That's not no matter what courses you take in college or business books you read, it's not going to prepare you for some of the decisions and some of the hard things. And those hard things aren't accounting or figuring out numbers. They're making decisions about people. They're making decisions about profitability. They're making decisions about what your company means in a community, and no one helps you with that. So to see him mentor someone is, for me, it's inspiring, and I really enjoy that part of it. A few of the episodes that I really like, there's one that he did in Florida at a key lime pie shop. It's like the best key lime pie in Florida, supposedly. And he went in there, and the manager, it was terribly mismanaged, but he had this wonderful woman who was just so dedicated to him, working all the time. Louise likes the key lime pie shop too, so you got right up there.
Louise just extended her paws like she was gauging the distance.
Yeah, it's happening.
On how to jump. Yep.
And she's pregnant at the time, and she's dedicated, and this guy really hasn't given her any reason to be. She just really likes the customers, all of that. And Marcus advocates she ends up owning a part of it. She ends up running it for him. She's seen in future episodes running other parts of his company. He's very good at bringing people together and allowing them to kind of multiply. And it's also super entertaining because there's people that say they want help. We all know those people. And then they don't want help.
Of course.
So that's always fun to watch. Just meltdowns. Yeah. And that's interesting. And I have to say, what I like about him is that he's not like, he doesn't get in the muck. Like, he's not Gordon Ramsay putting bread on your face, calling you a idiot sandwich. Like, he's just... He listens to the meltdown. Sometimes he's really good at getting underneath if it's just fear or how can I help you? You seem to be insecure in this moment. And sometimes he just recognizes for what it is and says, hey, I enjoyed meeting you. It doesn't look like we can work together. Yeah. And he walks away. And I have a ton of respect for that too.
For sure.
I really like him. I really like the way that he does the show. It's interesting. It has a lot of great information. So, and it has a special place in my heart because the very first time I ever saw it was the night after I gave birth to Mason in the hospital.
Oh, yeah. So you were in a highly emotional state.
I was. And I was flipping. Mike had to leave first. Our garage door was stuck open or something. There's something real weird.
Sounds like an excuse, Mike.
Yeah,
what are you leaving for?
No, it was our two older that were like, we got the garage door stuck. So he had to go. And I remember the nurse came in. I got a little orange sherbet cup and I was watching The Prophet.
Some sherbet and The Prophet. Wow. Yeah.
And The Prophet is spelled like money prophet, not like prophet, Muhammad or something.
I was thinking it was the other. And I was like, that's quite a title to name yourself.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think there's a little play on words there.
Of course.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was in. I was like, this is fascinating. What is this? Yeah. So I always remember watching that episode. I can see it right now in my head in the hospital bed watching that little TV.
Like, I want to take this moment for myself.
Yeah.
Because I won't have many of these.
Nope. Eating
going
orange
forward.
sherbet, Mason sleeping right there in that bassinet. Just
is that the quietest he's ever been?
Probably. I did tell you when he was born, though, that Mike and I were both like, oh no, immediately. Because they put him on my chest, which they do with all babies.
Yeah.
And babies at that age are notoriously weak, and you're supposed to support their heads and necks and all of that stuff. And the nurse put him on my chest, and he promptly lifted his head all the way, made eye contact with me, and put his head back down. And Mike and I looked at each other, and I was like, what have I done? Because even the nurse was like, did he just lift his head up? And I'm like,
Oh my goodness, that was a sign of all that's come to pass.
That was also the nurse that was like, there's no way this baby's more than 6 pounds. And I was like, listen, it's been on my bladder for 9 months. It is an 8-pound baby. And he was, in fact, over 8 pounds. So he was good at trickery even then.
God, that trickster.
Yeah.
That's a
And
good
he's like,
name
yeah,
for
I'm 8
Mason.
pounds.
Yeah.
Boom, head up, down. Oh my gosh.
He's like, I want to check out this situation. I want to see who I was living inside.
Yeah.
And there she is, and I'm not impressed.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about this. What? Your voice does not match your face.
Although these days during quarantine, he's your best friend.
He is. We are best.
Yeah.
We are best
He's
friends.
informed you that
Multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah, gets real nervous when you're not around.
Yes, I do have to keep him abreast of my whereabouts at all times. So
You're living with a little prison warden.
yeah, it's gotten a little codependent. I
Yeah,
have some concerns for down the road, but you know what? I'm going to
okay.
ride it right now.
It's 2020.
And I'm
This
going
is
to
a
use
weird
it
year.
when he's 16.
There you go.
What happened? I thought we were best
I thought
friends.
we were best friends. You got to tell me everything.
Where are you going?
Yeah. Aren't we going to spend Friday night together?
I thought I wasn't allowed to leave. Why are you allowed to leave?
Exactly.
I wasn't
right.
allowed to go to the bathroom by myself. I'm just kidding. I'd let him go to the bathroom by himself. Anyway.
Well, damn, Erin, we came in hot again.
Oh, so hot.
Yeah. But it's not as hot in the studio this time.
No.
It's a temperate
Yeah,
80-something,
it's like
whereas before it was maybe in the 100
Yeah.
degrees Fahrenheit.
Today feels like we just got in the sauna. Last week was like we've been in the sauna for 3
long time,
hours.
yeah.
One of us is going to pass out. Do not put more water on the rocks. What are you doing?
I think we've done what we came to do,
We
Erin.
have.
Yeah.
We absolutely have.
So now it's time to back out slowly.
Slowly. Drop everything. Back out slowly.
We will be back next Wednesday. And until then,
Happy reading.
I'm up again. Same night, another dream. Before trying this recording thing, I didn't remember much of anything of these dreams. I didn't remember much from any of the women. And one night of doing this, and it's broken things open. The dreams they're in me, and they're coming out of me, and
Talk to me. I am not broken. I am the most whole, most real.
Cause their despair. I wait for the word. Witch.
Look at the mad woman in her cage. She was a woman with holes inside her. That was the heaviest factor, the final evidence, the heart of the issue.
Somehow, you understand this. You hear me. Wherever you are, whatever this is, you...
this isn't a dream journal anymore. It's not. It's just fact. Because now this is some sort of record. What are these dreams? Maybe there's a better question. Who are these women? Weird Woman is a Broads and Books production. All 9 episodes are available January 10th. Listen and subscribe to Weird Woman on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. That's WYRD Woman, wherever you listen to podcasts.